What is up? Welcome to another edition of SacTown Movie Buffs. Once again, I'm Kier, and this is Jason. It's been quite a few weeks since we recorded a show together. I feel like,
Like
it's
two
been a
weeks.
while. 2 weeks? It's only been
I
two
think so.
weeks.
I think it
Oh,
was the week before last. I think.
oh. Felt like it's been longer. I don't know,
Yeah.
but it felt like it's been a minute. But maybe you're right. Maybe it was a week before last. But we're back. We've had some, health issues, busyness, all kinds of things going on. But we're back and back and ready to go. Back and ready to go. How you doing otherwise?
Good. Good.
Good.
Seeing lots of movies as always.
Yeah, I see. I had a pretty good run myself. So all the movies that we're going to be discussing, and we're going to obviously be breaking the show up, but we're going to be talking about like four different films over the next, they'll roll out over the next few days. But I saw essentially all of them like last week. So
Yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been a good little run for me at the theaters for sure. So
Cool.
and my Cinemark told me that I've only got 5 more visits until I become a platinum member, whatever that means. But I'm excited to find out. So
Oh man, I'm already a platinum member. Like it
dang,
depends on. You have to see so many shows. You have to see so many movies within a given year,
right?
and after that, it's just better savings. Better savings on the snacks, better perks, better savings on the movie tickets, and I think that's about it. I don't know. But if
it'll
you
be an
if you aren't
exciting time.
platinum yet,
It'll be an
man,
exciting time, man.
you aren't platinum yet, you aren't nothing, man.
Clearly, I'm
You
not.
ain't platinum, you ain't nothing.
You ain't
You ain't
nothing.
nothing.
You ain't
That's my
nothing.
little Michael Jackson.
You ain't bad. You ain't nothing. All right, well, moving on. Let's get into it. The film we're actually going to be talking about now is going to be Top Gun Maverick, and I believe you are going to take this one away.
I think I might have seen just yesterday that it is officially Tom Cruise's biggest hit ever. I think.
Yeah, it crossed $1 billion, and it is his biggest hit to date. Yeah, so
Wow.
it's also the highest grossing film of the year so far. So
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Cool. All right. Yeah. So Top Gun Maverick is obviously it is a I think what they call these days a legacy sequel. Because it's coming almost 30 years, almost 40 years.
yeah,
Wow. Almost
80s,
40
yeah.
years after the first one. The first Top Gun, of course, was a huge hit back in 1985. And I'm not the biggest fan of Top Gun, the first one.
Same.
I mean, like, I wasn't wild about it when I was a kid. It came out when I was 7. At that time, if it wasn't a horror movie, if it didn't have Jason or Freddy in it, I didn't care much. And I've never been big into planes or cars or,
Same.
so that didn't do much for me as a kid. The love story didn't do much for me when I was a kid. So I didn't like it when I was a kid. I did watch it again a year or two ago when I found out this movie was coming. And I still didn't love it. I think I liked it a little bit more. But the original, I'm still not a huge fan of it. It's very soapy, very corny, very 80s, which is good. The soundtrack is amazing. But I'm still not a big fan of the original Top Gun. So it is to my delight to say that the new Top Gun movie, I am a very big fan of. Just to cut right to the chase. Huge fan of this movie. Of course, it takes place. It's one of those legacy sequels, big thing, big business these days to do these sequels that are 30, 40 years later, pick up with the characters where they would be 30 or 40 years later. And along with some of the supporting characters, there are ways to do this good and ways to do this not good. For instance, a picture perfect example, I think, of a way not to do this kind of sequel is the Coming to America sequel that came out a year or two ago. Just because you can do it that way and just be lazy and just make
it was pretty much a rehash of the original film. I mean, even the jokes were pretty much, it was like the long running jokes from 30, 40 years ago. It was pretty much the exact same rehash though. So
yeah, all the characters were the same. They hadn't changed or grown in any way. They were just the same characters, the same jokes. There was no imagination behind it at all. Now the good ones, like I want to use like Cobra Kai, I think is a good example of a way to continue a story, bringing bringing like actually taking into account that it's been 30 or 40 years for the characters, come up with interesting ways to develop them as people and as characters in the years since, and also build onto what was there before in new and interesting ways. That's, I think, a great example of how to do that the right way. And this movie is actually another example of that. So, the plot is pretty simple, which is fine by me. Maverick is still Maverick. He's, the guy who doesn't like to follow the rules, but they need him for a specific mission. He gets together, a ragtag crew of pilots, gets them into shape, and there's a big final mission. And so it's all very simple plot-wise, but I don't know, man. This movie was fun. I thought it was just great. I thought it was one of the best examples of quality mainstream Hollywood filmmaking in a long time. And I just enjoyed this movie from beginning to end, even though I'm not really into planes or, movies like this generally. I really enjoyed it. And one thing that I will say also that I really loved is that, Tom Cruise, he's got his detractors, and I'm not feeling the whole Scientology thing necessarily, but man, the guy is a movie star, and I really dig the fact that he is like on this like one-man mission right now to kind of save Hollywood. It feels like, you know what I mean? Like he is fighting the fight against stunt doubles and green screens. Like all the stunts in this movie are real. These actors are really in those cockpits flying through the sky, and you can tell. I mean, there's a difference. You can tell they're sweating, they're passing out, and it's real. You know what I mean? And you can really feel the difference there, as opposed to something like 99% of what's in theaters. Marvel comic book movies, they're all green screen, they're all stunt doubles, they're all CGI. Nothing is really happening. You never have the feeling that something's really happening. Well, this movie, like his Mission Impossible movies, which we all know he goes to absurd lengths to do all the stunts in those movies and get injured. I don't know. To me, there's like a palpable difference between a movie like that where they really are sticking their neck out on the line and they're really doing these stunts, and they're not just in a cockpit in front of a green screen pretending. You can really feel the difference in a movie like this. And I think he's kind of leading the fight against, that's trying to keep theaters viable, theaters as the primary place to go experience movies, new movies, and kind of leading the fight against, green screens and phony stunts. And, he's kind of leading the fight to keep action movies like this have like a real quality that they haven't had in a really long time. So, and that just on top of all that, it's just a really fun movie. It's humorous, it's exciting, it's suspenseful. It just does everything it's supposed to do well. So yeah, I absolutely loved this movie, which a few years ago when I heard they were making a Top Gun sequel, I wouldn't have said I was that excited. But this is definitely one that I'll be picking up and watching at home many times in the years to come. So how about you, Kier?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty much like a military training video. You know what I mean? I just was like, okay, this is a recruit. No, I'm joking. I thought it was fun.
I'd say that about the first one.
Yeah, no, it was fun. No, it was really, really fun. And like you, I was never a big fan of the original Top Gun. And just planes and people flying around in the sky doesn't necessarily, immediately make me go, all right, you know what I mean? And we both come from, military backgrounds. Both our parents were in the military, so, in the Air Force. So, so we're used to being around near military bases and things of that nature. I've seen planes all my life. I've flown on planes so many times, and I've seen fighter jets and things of this nature. I'm just not a huge movie about those types of things. So I was a little hesitant to see this movie myself, but it's fun. It is a really, really fun movie. I think it does exactly what it sets out to do, and that's to entertain, and it was entertaining. I thought that, the story is like I said, it's not the most extravagant story you've ever heard of. I mean, it's, like you said, it's a mission film. It's basically he comes in as the loose cannon to teach, these young, pilots, basically what they need to do in order to complete like this impossible mission that needs to be completed. And, and then obviously there's, turmoil that stems back from the first film and things of that nature. So there are some things that, that they do address in terms of things that happened and, from the first film and thing. And I don't want to go too much into story about that, but it is interesting. It's a fun film. Like I said, the plot's not not the main focus. It's really the relationships that Maverick has, with these young troops and things of that nature, and getting to like trust and believe in, what he's trying to teach them. And then, of course, there's always going to be the, the antagonist, which is always like the bosses in this film, in this case, that, didn't want him. He wasn't their first choice to train these troops kind of thing. So there is all that element in as well that adds a little bit of extra drama to it. But it was a fun film. It was definitely a fun Hollywood film. It definitely surprised me. I knew it got great reviews, but I didn't go into it expecting, anything, that great about it, just because I'm not a big plane person. So I kind of did go into a little hesitant, but obviously once I'm there, I'm going to give it the best shot possible, the film. I'm just going to, just let it show me what it's going to do. And, I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it was a really fun film. Like I said, the acting was good. The story was good. It's suspenseful. It's thrilling, especially like the last, 20 some minutes of the film. You're literally on the edge of your seat, because it's just really, really good story. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. And, and to your point, about Tom Cruise and things of that nature, I do love the fact, and you have to respect Tom Cruise. I don't care what you think about him personally, that he does his own stunts for almost all of his films. They use very minimal CGI in most of his films, and that includes like the Mission Impossible ones and things of that nature. So I like that about him. He's not somebody I would necessarily hang out with per se, but as far as like filmmaking and making good films and keeping you entertained, big summer blockbusters. I mean, I don't know if there's any actor right now that I could say, does it better. You had a few years where, Will Smith had a good run where he was making those big summer blockbusters. But, I think this guy definitely takes the title of that overall, though. So, and his films are great. It's very rare that he has a film recently, anyways, that I didn't like. He's very smart about his choices, and, he gets really involved in the projects and produces the films and things of that nature. So he's got a lot of skin in the game of that. But I do like that, you can make a sequel and not add a bunch of CGI and not be a big superhero film. And, that's one thing that, I don't know if you will, but he hasn't really been part of that, being in, these big, blockbuster Marvel and DC films and things of that nature. He seems like he's, going to stay away from all that kind of stuff. And I like that about him. I like that he's not going to just take some film where he's going to get $20 million just to, act in front of a green screen for 2 hours or 3 hours in some cases. So I do like that about him as well. So, but the film's fun. It's enjoyable. It's good. I think everybody of all ages would enjoy it. Male, female. I went with my wife. She enjoyed it quite a bit. I think that, it's got something for everybody, and, and you don't necessarily have to be a big, Air Force or Navy or military or plane person in general to enjoy it. I think you can just enjoy it for entertainment purposes. So.
Yeah. And that was something like, I met like one of the things that I've never, I'm not, we, like you said, we both come from military backgrounds, but, I didn't join the military. I'm not, of course I'm proud to be American and all that, but I'm not like a flag waver necessarily, so that kind of, I don't really like movies that are really jingoistic, and the first one is kind of, and it's
kind
of
and that's why I jumped to the beginning. Exactly. That's why I jumped to the beginning, because a lot of these military type films do come across sometimes in some capacity as like a military recruitment video, that rah, and that's not really me either. Like I said, I'm not a big, huge, 2 giant flags in front of my house kind of person. It's just not me, like I said, but, so I do appreciate that this film didn't really go in that direction, where, like I said, I think the first one was a little more of a, felt a little more anyways like a military recruitment video in some capacity. So
right, and I thought it was interesting too, and I don't think it's a spoiler really, but to say like they never clarify who they're targeting in this movie.
Yeah, I was having a conversation. I think with my wife, I was having a conversation is you don't even know specifically where the target is. You don't know what nationality these people are, and you never even really see the bad guy's face per se.
Right.
So so I think that's pretty cool too. So yeah.
I mean, I think based on the terrain.
Yeah.
I think based on the terrain, it's pretty obvious where they are.
Right.
But they don't spell it out.
They don't tell you. They don't go, hey, we're gonna go out here and we're gonna nuke some guys in the Middle East, or we're gonna do this, or we're gonna go to this country.
And so kill them, anything like that.
Yeah. So they don't. And I think that's how they try to tone down that rhetoric, is not being completely obvious about who exactly their target was, or who exactly the enemy that they were fighting in this case was. So
it won't date the movie that way either. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
they are very specific about who they're fighting and why in the first one, and that's one of the things that dates that movie quite a bit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Because a lot of times enemies become allies or whatever, that kind of stuff. So
yeah. So I thought that was interesting and cool too. So
yeah, cool.
Yeah,
cool. Anything else you want to add about Top Gun Maverick?
No, I say keep doing what you're doing, Tom Cruise.
Cool.
Tom Cruise, you take my breath away.
Goodness gracious, great balls of fire. All right. Well, overall grade and face you would give this one.
I was hedging a little bit when I first got out of the theater, and I was giving it a 4.5. But honestly, it doesn't do a single thing wrong. If you ask me, I had a great time. Felt like standing up and cheering at the end. I didn't, but I felt like it. So yeah, I went full 5 stars on this one. Love it. So that's obviously yeah. Thought it was a blast.
Absolutely. Well, you know me, I'm always just a smidge tougher than you are. I didn't think it was quite the 5-star perfect. It doesn't inherently do anything wrong, but it's not. I wouldn't necessarily say it was a perfect film per se, but I did enjoy it quite a bit. So I did give it a 4 stars out of 5, which is probably the highest grade that I give usually.
That's your highest rating, yeah.
Yeah, so it's up there with there's only 2 other films that I think I've given that grade to this year, which is the Batman and an X. So it's in good company. So this was probably a little bit below both of them in my opinion, but it's still a front runner at this point to be a top 10 contender. So for sure. So right now it'd be number 3, I guess, if you in my top 10. So that's saying a lot. That's saying a lot. So yeah, definitely a great film. So 4 out of 5 is a big. Like I said, I don't know what we do when I give a film 5-star. We'll figure that out. We'll have to figure out something different. Yeah. But let us know down in the comments. Have you seen Top Gun Maverick? Did you like it? Did you not like it for some reason? As always, if you like the channel, we ask that you like, subscribe, make sure you hit that bell notification, and we'll be back again soon with another show for you guys. We thank you for watching and hope you have a great day.